What's up, everybody? This week in gaming, the State of Play delivers several trailers, and Rocksteady backpedals on live service games because this is the NerdCave News, and I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined along with my good friend and co-host, Derek Daniel. Derek, how's it going, my man?
Man, it's going pretty good. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I realized, Derek, that I'm 35 now.
I know. Well, welcome to the club.
Yeah, I was just
You're
like,
getting old.
I was literally talking to Nick, and I was like, I said something. I was like, I'm 35. Like it just hit me because,
I know.
like, it's like your birthday happens, but then it's like you don't realize that you're older, and like
Oh
as
yeah,
you
that
get older.
realization kicks in, man, and you're like, oh, because there are times where I have to pause, and when someone asks me my age, and for some reason I still think I'm 33, like I'm living 2 years ago,
Mm,
and I said no, I'm 35 actually. Sorry.
yeah, it's just one of those things. But yeah, doing great, man. Got to travel this past weekend, got to go to Atlanta, got to go to IKEA, went to a huge manga and stationery store. So living the dream, and been watching some good anime. Almost done with Attack on Titan. Got the last 30 minutes of the final episode. So
Yeah.
enjoying it, man. Just excited to. I don't know where I'm going to go from here. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at the top of the mountain right now. You know?
Yeah. I'm about to say getting ready to rain down some justice.
Yeah. Shark with Fins, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well over on the vertical. Dan, how are you doing over on the horizontal? So, just so everybody knows, we are going to be watching some trailers tonight because there was a state of play. So, if you're on the vertical side, we're not going to be putting the trailers over there because it's harder for me to manage everything. So, if you do want to watch the trailers with us, jump over to the horizontal stream. Ronaldo, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well tonight. So, Derek, what you been playing?
I had to take care of some things because my car was acting up. Thankfully, my brother got it fixed, and then I had to prepare the show yesterday and catch up on some other things I've been neglecting around the apartment. So I did not get to play anything, but it has been a while since I have said this on the show.
True, very true. There was a time where that was the norm.
I know that was the weekly. It was almost like a weekly bet. It's like, what's Derek played? Nothing.
Has Derek played his PlayStation? I remember being pretty much the go-to bit on the show for a while. Sharkfin, I hope you have a great day too, man. Thank you for being here. Hi, is it Daphne? Daphne Mendoza, welcome to the stream as well. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, dude, the only thing that I've played is Pokemon Pocket this week. I did way better.
Yeah.
This week. I actually won all my matches. So that is a plus, Derek.
Yeah, that is a plus.
Sometimes that doesn't happen, and it's a sad day for old Zachary. Let me just say, it's a sad day for old Zachary when that happens. So
what's up, Mike?
But yeah, I enjoying a little bit of that, like the new packs. Got a new deck that's just smashing right now. So I'm
off your was it your ghost deck or your dark deck that beat Mewtwo because that's what everyone played for a while.
Yeah, like finally, and this booster pack is like really dark heavy. So a lot of people are starting to play more dark decks and everything. But I've got this Lucario, which is like fighting type deck. But once you get up to Lucario, it does 20 damage to every fighting Pokemon on your hand. Wow. It's a nice little thing. So I've got to get back into the meta and all of that because I haven't really been super into it. But I am enjoying what's going on there. And if anybody's playing Pokemon Pocket, we do play on Tuesdays, and that's going to be really fun if you want to come and battle with us over there.
Do we want to talk about what we're, because we're a few days away. Do we want to talk about what kind of game we're going to be playing for this month?
Go ahead, Derek.
I'm about to say this, we talked about it. We're trying to do a video, like first impressions of like new releases, at least one a month. And this month we are choosing to play Avowed.
Yeah.
So we will be playing that. That is going, and I think it's in early access for like the people who splurged on like the Ultimate Edition. But we're just going to wait till it hits Game Pass on the 18th. That's only 5 days away. So we will be playing that and giving our first impressions at some point this month.
Yes, and we've learned our lesson from getting
Ultimate special
the
creation,
yeah, because every time we have done that, Derek, we have been highly disappointed
Correct.
in whatever we've gotten. So we're steering clear of all of that.
Like we haven't bought like special or collector's editions really, unless it's like a special game like God of War Ragnarok. But the last two games we got burned on with that was enticing because we got 3 days early access. This time
Yeah.
we don't care. Like we get to play the game like everyone else does.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, we're gonna go. We're gonna do this the normal way. And we did that with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which I want to jump back into that. I want to see where that game goes because I really really enjoyed it. But I am excited to jump into Avowed. It's kind of getting mixed reviews right now.
Oh, really? I haven't looked at anything about it.
Yeah, I saw Greg talking about it, and he's like, there's some great parts, but overall, it's not that great of a game. And I'm like,
and yes, he's entitled to his opinion, but he also said Indiana Jones was okay, and it ended up reviewing a lot better.
True. I'm not saying Greg is the
end all be all,
but I do tend to agree with him on a lot of things when it comes to gaming. But we'll see. We'll see. How it does. We'll go from there. But guys, we're going to jump into the gaming discussion this week. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear your opinions as we go through these. And when we get to the trailers, of course, if you're watching on the vertical, you definitely want to go jump over on the horizontal stream to watch those. But first up on the gaming discussion this week, Rocksteady reportedly working on a single player Batman game. What? And Monolith Productions Wonder Woman game is in trouble.
So Warner Brothers Games is in a rough shape, and that's putting it mildly. And a new report from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier sheds light on the turmoil behind the scenes while giving an update on what's next for its developers. The company has had a disastrous year, starting with Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League flopping hard, followed by the underwhelming launch of Multiverses. These failures hit Warner Brothers Discovery's bottom line hard. Suicide Squad alone cost them $200 million, and Multiverses added another $100 million in losses. Their only other recent release, Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, barely made a dent. During a financial call, WB Discovery CEO David Zaslav acknowledged that their gaming division is, quote, substantially underperforming. Since then, Suicide Squad's live service content has wrapped up with delivery of its year one roadmap. Multiverses is shutting down, and Rocksteady has suffered major layoffs. As for what's next, Zaslav made it clear that Warner Brothers is narrowing its focus to just 4 core franchises: Hogwarts Legacy, which a sequel is already in development, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, and DC, especially Batman. Quote, we are focusing our development efforts on those core franchises with proven studios to improve our success ratio, he said. But don't expect to see results anytime soon. Monolith's Wonder Woman game is reportedly in trouble, having rebooted development and changed directors last year. It's already racked up over $100 million in costs and is still years away. The game's original vision, featuring a Shadow of Mordor-style nemesis system where Wonder Woman befriends enemies, has been scrapped in favor of a more traditional action-adventure approach. Bloomberg reports its future is uncertain. Meanwhile, WB Montreal, the last game they did was Gotham Knights, pitched a John Constantine game that was never approved, and planned a Flash game that was canned after the DCU film bombed. The studio is now helping out with other projects and working on a Game of Thrones pitch. Avalanche, the team behind Hogwarts Legacy, is officially working on new content for the game as well as a sequel. As for Rocksteady, Bloomberg reports the studio is looking to return to Batman with a new single-player game, but is years away. In the short term, WB Games is leaning on a refreshed version of Hogwarts Legacy, a new LEGO game, and a handful of mobile games to fill the gaps over the next couple of years. No word yet on what NetherRealm has planned beyond Mortal Kombat 1's DLC. So, So let's this WB is now becoming the next Ubisoft. It feels like they're in kind of turmoil. Like, yes, they're not really in a financial crisis per se as Ubisoft, but it sounds like they're getting there with pretty much like $400 million in costs that they are not going to recoup between Suicide Squad, Multiverses, and reportedly Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman is a shock because, we got a reveal at the Game Awards, about 3-4 years ago, it feels like.
Yeah.
Like it feels it was after COVID, but it wasn't. I feel like it was early, like in the early 2020s. But regardless, it's been a long time since we've even seen that game. And they talked about it last year, there was some stirrings. I know Kind of Funny talked about it. There were some stirrings that it was kind of going through some changing, some restructuring. And that's sad coming from a studio that did the Shadow of Mordor games, and which were pretty good. Like, I loved Shadow Mordor. Shadow of War, I know they had the invasive loot boxes, controversy, but it was an overall solid game. However, to see them do this, and like we didn't get really, I don't remember the reporting when it got announced, but the whole nemesis system with the enemies, like Wonder Woman befriending them, that's kind of weird, and I don't think works for that style of game. That seems to be more like, that should be more, how can I put this? That should be more of the appeal to the Mordor games, like, or Lord of the Rings games, than it should be DC games, because DC games, like, you don't like really befriend the villains. Like, even Batman doesn't befriend. He just uses them when he needs information out of them. You know what I mean?
Like, I could see like Superman, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But Wonder Woman, like, I know like the lasso of truth, like, kind of is like the hand thing from Mordor,
Yeah.
But I don't know. This makes me think, and it was 2021 when it got announced. I just looked it up.
I figured.
So that's 4 years ago. That's a long time
and it's still years away, according to the report.
Yeah, and it's, reboot or not, it's just like, is this game going to make it? And with WB already seeing, just Kill the Justice League doing poorly and all of this, and it's like, okay, we're shifting in a different way. Like, if they did something that was more akin to God of War, that would be dope. I think that would be a really good Wonder Woman game.
True.
Because like the Arkham style fits with Spider-Man because he's in the shadows and all of that. But
correct.
With Wonder Woman, she's not about subtlety. She's, fighting, and like there's the Greek god thing. I think the God of War route works the best with her, and
True.
being able to, like, she does fly, so I don't know how they would go about dealing with that superpower necessarily, but I do think it can be a really good game. Like, Mordor definitely feels more like Batman than, because it was originally supposed to be a Batman game.
Yeah.
I just think WB will eventually can this if it doesn't, start moving faster, because they want to see things actually make money.
Yes, exactly. Especially after losing, like I said, reportedly 400 million between two games that flopped, or is now done making content, and then a game that is going through a restructure now. And it's already spent 100 million. Imagine how much more it's going to cost when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
So that's it's sad to see, but now, I want to pivot to the other side of the story, and I want to get to a third part of the story here in a second. But the other side of the coin is Rocksteady going back to its roots. But now let's throw this up here, right? I feel like Rocksteady is in the same position as BioWare, where they made a good series of games for a long time. The Batman Arkham trilogy, BioWare did the Mass Effect trilogy, and the first 3 Dragon Age games. I know 2 was a little bit controversial with like the lack of story. Rushed. Right. But still, they made 2 out of 3 solid games in the Dragon Age series. Then they decided to take a pivot and do something different. Anthem was a major flop, got shut down after a couple of years. Mass Effect Andromeda wasn't what fans of the series wanted, especially after the ending of 3. So they hated it. And yes, they came out with Veilguard last year, but it didn't live up to all the expectations, especially
Yeah.
after a 10-year gap in the series. So BioWare is kind of on a shaky ground to where at the point, like they already downsized, like it's reportedly they're down to less than 100 employees. They are now, we talked about it last week, to the point where if Mass Effect 5 doesn't deliver, BioWare might be in trouble.
Hmm.
Rocksteady, I think, is already on that foot. Like, even though they made one flop game, that is Suicide Squad, it was enough because, yes, I don't want to say they didn't have a long enough leg to stand, they didn't have a leg to stand on, or like they couldn't afford a flop, but because they didn't have that long history and like they still stayed in this like Arkham universe, Batman
Yep.
universe type thing, people wanted that. It would be different if they went to a new IP like how BioWare did to Anthem, right?
Yep.
If they went to a new IP, it didn't pan out, people would be like, okay, you tried something different, go back to DC, what you're known for. They
Yeah.
stayed in that universe, and we all had that collective groan when we saw the gameplay of Suicide Squad for the first time, and we were like, "This is not it." Kind of like Concord, this was not it.
Yep.
And I feel like going back to the Batman game, while smart, it's what buttered their bread. They have one shot. If they flop with this one, people will lose all. I'm not saying they'll close the studio, but they'll do a BioWare, they'll downsize it heavily, and people will lose any goodwill it had gained from, because up until Suicide Squad, we hadn't gotten an arc. Like, yes, we got WB Montreal making Batman games,
And
but they're
Gotham
not.
Knights.
Yeah, and Arkham Origins, which Arkham Origins was good for the
So
most part.
good. It was
But
amazing.
but Arkham Gotham Knights was not that great.
Yeah.
But as Rocksteady, they hadn't made a DC game since 2015, and Suicide Squad came out last year. That was an 8-year gap,
Hmm.
and for a game that flopped, so they can't afford to do that again. And WB, I don't think will let them do that again. So again, I'm not saying they'll close if this next Batman game flops, but they have one shot to get back in good graces.
I agree. And WB is known for closing down, like not releasing movies. They did it to the
Yeah.
Batgirl movie. They did it to a Looney Tunes movie.
Yep.
Uh, and like they're known for that. And I'm sure once they figure out they can do the same thing for video games, they're going to do that. Like
Correct.
eventually you have to cut your losses. Let's just be honest. And with their movie side of things, I think they're just doing it to, have a deduction on their
Oh
taxes and
yeah.
all of that.
Correct.
But with games, like already being 100 million in on Wonder Woman and having to restart the game essentially, it's like, yeah, they might not be starting from scratch. They've already got assets, the way she's going to look, that sort of deal, probably. But you're having to kind of go back to the drawing board and then even change, how the story is going to work because you're doing a
Hmm.
totally new system. So, but with Rocksteady going back, it's kind of like Jordan going and playing baseball and then coming back,
Right.
and it's like, yeah, that worked out, but then he did go to the Warriors. Is this going to be the
Wizards.
Warriors? Oh, sorry. He went to the Wizards. Is this going to be Michael Jordan at the Wizards, or is this going to be a championship,
Yeah.
Michael
His second
Jordan here?
his second three-peat with the Bulls.
Yeah. It's like, what are we going to get here? Because I feel like we are in this weird space that our heroes are falling in
Yeah.
the industry. Yeah.
Unintended.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. I kind of feel like they're resting on their laurels, just going back to Batman.
Yeah. I
And
think
it's
they're going back to they're going back to their comfort food, what people know them for and what they know how to do.
yeah, and they've got to crush it. They have to absolutely crush it. They're not going to get away with, oh well, that was Rocksteady Montreal. No, you were
No.
Rocksteady, and this is going to probably take 5-6 years for them to
Yeah.
make. So it's like, are people going to be interested in it?
Yeah.
It's like, we're just gonna be the old heads, like, I remember Batman Arkham. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
it's just like, eventually you gotta, poop or get off the pot. Like a Superman game would be awesome. There's so many other things that they could be doing
Correct.
instead of just going back. Oh, we're gonna do Batman again.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not going to have Kevin Conroy this time around. And I know
Rest in
Arkham
peace.
Origins didn't have Kevin Conroy, but he was
Right.
still alive at least
Correct.
on that. But I did love Arkham Origins.
And Mark Hamill ain't, and hopefully he still lives for a little bit longer, but Mark Hamill ain't no spring chicken either.
No, he's not. And he's already said that he's not going to do the Joker again because, Kevin's not here anymore.
Right.
Like, so it's just one of those things. It's like WB has put themselves in a very weird position. And it's like, oh, we're only going to focus on these IPs. It's like, you've got super strong IPs, but you got to put them in a video game setting that actually
Correct.
works. And we've already seen that with Marvel as well. They struggle with Marvel Avengers because like the story was okay, but it was the gameplay loop. It didn't have legs. And just saying, you probably should have learned from Marvel Avengers before putting out Kill the Justice League. I'm just saying.
Just saying.
At least Marvel Avengers, you got to play as the ones that you liked. You didn't play as the villains.
True.
So
my last thing I want to touch on, because the WB Montreal angle is interesting because they're trying to be the DCB studio in this whole portfolio with like trying to create these other, like they got Arkham Origins, which did actually well. It just was a buggy launch when it came out, and it launched on old systems and never came to PS4 or Xbox One for whatever reason. And then they did Gotham Knights, which was, it was an intriguing thing. Like they did a 4-player co-op, with all the Batman sidekicks essentially, but it didn't pan out.
Yeah.
Them pitching a Constantine and a Flash game is interesting to hear because it's the first time we've heard of either them trying to do either one. A Flash one, like now they did the stupid thing of trying to coincide with the movie, which they should have never done anyway. They should have just, you never saw Rocksteady trying to launch any of the Arkham games along with the Christian Bale movies. You know what I mean? So I think they should have just let well enough alone and just stand on their own feet. But I feel like Flash is, especially after we just got not that we're not that long removed from the WB or CW Flash. I feel like that would have been oversaturation. I feel like they should have let that rest, just stayed a little bit longer. A Constantine game would have been cool. I would have hoped they got Matt Ryan to voice him because he does Constantine, I feel like, so well.
Yeah.
So and it was something different and unique that we haven't really seen, especially since like people still have this like almost like a cult fascination with Constantine, especially of how he's been portrayed with like the DCU Dark and like the animated movies that have come out over the last. Right. So exactly. So so I feel like that would have been an interesting take to do. But what do you think? Do you think WB Montreal should keep getting more cracks at making DC games, or do you think that they should not become a support studio, but just more be like branch out and do their own thing, since they already have Rocksteady, who is kind of taking the what's the thing, the heavy load of DC games.
Yeah, I'm fine with them being like the the bench essentially of the team, coming in to refresh things, while the other players are getting a breather. I'm over here on my basketball kick right now, apparently. But the way I would do it is I would pick characters that make sense. Yes, Arkham Origins, I keep touting it. It's great. The story is amazing. The acting was great, even though it was, different actors playing those parts. I think it was awesome. And the twists and turns with the stories, which is just amazing. I would go with something that is not, I would go with like Doom Patrol, or I'd go with like the Teen Titans. I would do something that is not necessarily the A-listers.
Peacemaker, I would go maybe because the coming off the heat of the show.
Yeah, you could do Peacemaker. You could do a lot of cool things with the characters there. You could do Blue Beetle if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
A Green Lantern game would be amazing. Yes. I think the imaginative part of that would be really, really cool. And like a Flash game, I think would be awesome. I think it is going to be kind of harder to do a Flash game. I get that, but trying to tie that to Ezra Miller and all of his issues going into all of that, like that was doomed to fail. Let's just be honest. That was doomed to fail. But yeah, there's so many different things you could. I think them doing the B side of things would be fine, but they're leaving Lord of the Rings, which I'm assuming
Yeah, that's a good
because
point.
I think it's because um oh,
Monolith.
Embracer Group has the
Oh,
rights to all the games now to make games.
that's
They
true. I
bought all
forgot about
those
that.
rights. So we're not going to be seeing any of that. I think that's why they're like, oh, it's going to be Game of Thrones, it's going to be this. And the Game of Thrones game that they announced, I can't remember, it was sometime last year, and they
Yeah,
showed it at Game Awards. Looks like trash. It looks
yeah.
like a Bobo
PS3.
yeah, it looks like a Bobo version of Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah,
Like, and that could be an amazing game. You could do RTSs, you could do so many things with Game of Thrones that makes sense. But it's like, oh, how do we get it out fast? How do we let's make it 3 generations behind on graphics and
right.
gameplay and all of that. And it's just like, let's not, and let's take a little bit time. Let's not be short goal oriented. Let's be long goal oriented,
Yeah,
and let's get something out there. So I don't know. I think if Montreal wants to be where they could be, I think they need to pick properties that work for
yeah,
them and stories that work for them. And that's why Origins did so well.
correct. So
So
Mike says, if they do a Flash game, Grant Gustin better be the voice. I agree with that. Grant is my Flash. In all honesty, leave the girl who played Iris though. Like, no, she don't have to come back. Let's bring back Grant Gustin as the Flash.
man, Mary, she got annoying. She got annoying after a while. One thing I would even say, oh, it just left me. What was it? A Green Arrow game. Like, why can't Montreal make a Green Arrow game? That would be
Let's
flipping
go.
amazing, dude.
But
That would be
okay,
so good.
to be fair, if they did it the way the Arrow show did, it would just be Batman with a bow and arrow.
I would do it more like the comic version and
Yeah,
everything. I think that would be cool. And then you could see like Black Canary come in, and you could do so many cool things. You'd have Speedy there. Like you
Arsenal.
could, yeah, like you could do it in a very interesting way that puts it in its own world. You could even put it in the Arkhamverse, but do it in a way that's like fresh and new. It's not just like
Yeah,
Green Arrow with in a Batman, or Batman with a Green Arrow skin on it.
yeah,
I think that would kind of suck, but doing it in a really interesting way and getting somebody that can be like, because Green Arrow is not like, you filled the city. Like, he's not that
yeah,
in the comics. He's kind of swashbuckling. He's more funny and has like quips. He's kind of like Peter Parker,
yeah.
Spider-Man in that kind of way. So I think that would be a dope way to get that out there, that property that people love because of the show. Like Stephen Amell and all the cast over on CW did an amazing job, and people love that show because of that.
Me included. So
Same. Season 2 is still the best. You know what I mean? Season 2, so good. Put an
give me
arrow in his eye.
give me 1 second. I gotta call my boss back real quick.
You're good, bro. Go ahead.
So
All right, guys. So while Derek waits to hear from his boss, guys, y'all let us know how you're doing down in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to the Nerd Cave News on podcast services of your choice and on YouTube. It helps us out a ton to
you're
see
good. I saw
people
and I figured I
engaging
told
and
him
getting to
give
be
me
a
a second to
part
call you
of the
back.
show. We are available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So
Yeah, it was.
please go and
I had
subscribe there.
Gmod,
You can also listen
but
to the show
he let
there
us know about an
if
hour
you
early,
want to
so
listen to it while you're
I was
driving to
on the
work
show
or
by
whatever.
1:30.
It helps us out a ton. And make sure to leave a
They did okay.
review,
It looked
and
like
that
they
is, of
got all
course,
of
a
HP done for the
5-star
most part,
review.
but I mean, there's just still
Because
ad
as Mama
palettes back
says,
there, so it's
if you
hard to
ain't got
tell. But
nothing
I
to
know they didn't
say,
get all
you
of
got
it.
nothing nice to say, don't say
Yeah,
nothing at
I
all.
know.
So before we jump into the state of
I
play,
know.
something that
So,
happened very
like I said, it looks like
interestingly
they got
over the
pretty
weekend
much all of
was the
that done.
PlayStation Network
There's might be
going
still a few
down.
floats
This
scattered
was
there
a
with NerdCave on
huge,
it, but
huge
LV did
part
not
of
know that for sure.
people's concern, because the last time this happened was
So,
like in 2011 when it went down for
that was
multiple days, and it was
huh?
down from like Friday night all the way to the beginning of this
I
week.
know.
And that's huge because this is a very large infrastructure. for it to go down. And Sony is being very, very quiet
I didn't know
on
you were
what
able to do it
happened. They're
overnight.
saying it
Well,
was, you know, small
Aaron told me
issues
that,
or
and I'm like,
whatever.
well,
But the last time around, a
yep,
lot of
all because I opened
information
my big
got
mouth.
leaked, customer information and everything. So I'm curious to see when we're going to get more details on this. Is this something that we should be concerned about? All that kind of stuff. So it's just I feel like we're not getting the full story, and I don't think they fully know what's going on either. But we'll have to see down the road what is going to come out on it, if they're going to be, you know, forthright on everything and be, you know, transparent, which most companies aren't transparent. Amy says over on the horizontal stream, I love your unfiltered takes on stuff. Well, thank you. I'm glad the unfiltered takes are serving somebody on this. So guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, hit the like button, make sure that you share the stream with somebody that you love, that you appreciate, all that good stuff. We are going to be playing Avowed this month. It comes out literally tomorrow will be 8 days from or 4 days from now. So I am looking forward to that.
They might need help.
One quick, you know, before Derek comes back on, this is from IGN. I can share this with y'all. We'll do a little reading.
I think so. I mean, he was
while Derek is
left, but I know he was
out and about. So this is from IGN. Ubisoft insists Assassin's Creed Shadows pre-orders are tracking solidly in line with Odyssey. I highly flipping doubt that. I feel like they are trying their best to just make this thing get out and not die. So Ubisoft has, this is Ryan Dinsdale. Ubisoft has insisted that it is upcoming open world adventure Assassin's Creed Shadows has a strong number of pre-orders despite its troubled development and promotional period, because they've literally pushed the game several times. The struggling publisher said its latest financial report that pre-orders for the game are tracking solidly in line with those of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the second most successful entry of the franchise. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot maintained this confidence, saying the company is currently fully focused on the upcoming launch of Assassin's Creed Shadow on March 20th. Early previews have been positive, praising its narrative and immersive experience, with both characters playing critical roles in the game's storyline, as well as the quality and complementarity of the gameplay provided the dual protagonist approach. I think that's going to be a huge part, because the last time that I remember we had a dual protagonist was Syndicate, and it didn't feel like it really did that. That's one of the reasons why I stopped playing it. I want to commend the incredible talent and dedication of the entire Assassin's Creed team, who is working tirelessly to ensure that Shadows delivers on the promise of what is the franchise's most ambitious entry yet. I feel like we should have got this game years ago. It's something that we've been clamoring for, because it's the period of time, and now I'm just kind of like, do I really want to play this? I've got Ghost of Tsushima, fixing to get Ghost of Yote probably sometime this year. So it's like, is Assassin's Creed Shadow, does it got the juice? Is it worth the squeeze? You know what I mean? Is it worth the squeeze? I think that's something really important to think about. Is it worth the money that you got to lay down to play this? Because the game originally was supposed to come out in November, it's saying right here, and then they bumped it to February, and then canceled the season pass that they were going to have, and then pushed it to March. But I think this is a huger thing than people realize, because Ubisoft, they need this to be successful. They need this to be something that actually does well. So only time will tell. The current release date, of course, is March 20th. So we will have to see next month. Does Assassin's Creed Shadows actually live up to this? Is it actually tracking? Does it sell well or not? Only time will tell.
It probably
and now
won't
we
pan
have
out.
Derek back on the line. Let's get Derek back here.
What's up? Sorry about that. So
You're good, bro.
So my boss is doing it overnight, so he just wanted to touch base on where everything was.
You're good, bro. We're good.
So
We're good.
excuse
Just
me.
talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows. So
And
and
how it'll
seeing
probably
if
flop.
yeah, and how Yves is doing what Yves does the best, which is lying.
Open mouth, insert foot.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, guys, we are going to jump into the state of play. So we've got
Nothing happened yesterday. I don't know what we're talking about. Like the Rocksteady thing was the only. I'm just kidding.
I don't know about you, but if you are on the vertical stream, make sure to go over to the horizontal stream because the first trailer up is Hell Is Us gets a new look and it also gets a release date. So, Derek, let's check this bad boy out.
All right. That's eerie. That's unsettling.
I'm trying to recognize this voice. Definitely heard it before. Epsilon 11. They did.
I know.
I hate them. That bro needs some Ozempic.
Yo, why he look like the Great Value Todd Howard?
It's like a mix of
Division and Death Stranding.
and Jedi Survivor
True. Yes.
and Alan Wake, like the weirdness
Oh yeah.
of it all.
And this got rumored that the release date got leaked earlier in the week, but I waited till after the state of play to put the doc together last night, and I was scrolling through for the quick hits first. I was a little behind the scenes. I always put the quick hits first. That that way I get those out of the way. And I saw that this is the rumored release date is this. I'm like, oh, that's already been confirmed, so I won't put that there. But yeah, this is like when we first. I forget this was a thing. This game existed, and until I heard Kind of Funny bring this up. It's like, oh, there's been rumors that the release date could be announced, and then I see this, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is like a Division like clone, and it resonated with me because I like the Division a lot. And again, but this I feel like this won't be the multiplayer, always connected version of Division. You know what I mean? This will be like a single player game that we all wanted the Division to be, but. This looks cool. Like it's like you said, Alan Wake meets Death Stranding, meets Division, meets Jedi Survivor, or just the Jedi series in general. So it all hits on a bunch of different notes that strike chords with us in different ways, and that we like. So September 4th, like they already shaping up, dude. The 2025 just started, and they were already shaping up the fall because as we'll go through, other games got like release dates in the fall, like August and like September. Like back in the day, we'd have to wait till E3 to get like the fall slate of games, and we're in mid-February, and we've already got games in August and September planned out. You know what I mean? So, but what does this do for you, Zach?
It moves the needle a little bit for me. Like it's not necessarily something I'm like, oh my god. Like if I want to play this type of game, I'm going to go play Alan Wake 2 right at this point, and then Control. And then if I'm still jonesing for this kind of weird paranormal kind of feel, I might go play Death Stranding and then go get Death Stranding 2. And then if I'm still feeling it, then I'll jump in.
I was gonna say start Jedi Fallen Order again, play Jedi Survivor again.
I don't know. It's just it's not hitting me personally, but it's like maybe the story is really interesting, but the combat and everything, like everything feels like it's a version of another game. And it's okay to be like, hey, this is kind of like this, but when your game is just like, all right, it's these pieces of these things, and it's like, well, what original DNA does it have? It's like, well, it really doesn't have any. And
Right.
that might be just me over here just looking at a trailer and saying that, but only time will tell.
Yeah. So
But
I don't know.
yeah,
I'm gonna check it out for sure because I know what was it the day what was that other division clone that they did that ended up not panning out and like had a bunch of trouble like the day after or something like that.
yeah, yeah. Dude, there's been so many like
Yeah.
recently. It's just like that's kind of crazy. But yeah, like I might try it, if you're gonna get it or whatever. But other than that, I'm not jumping in full force on this one. You know what I
But you don't
mean?
want to play as Todd Howard's twin brother Tim Howard. You know, like
Yeah.
it's dude. When I saw that, I'm just like Todd Howard. What is he?
Walks
Oh,
out on stage.
opens his big fat mouth.
Oh, guys, we've got another trailer, The Lost Soul Aside. And if you want to check out these trailers that we're watching, make sure to go over to the horizontal stream.
Mhm.
The Lost Soul Aside finally gets a release date and some new gameplay. So let's check it out. I do like that logo, kind of giving me
I
like
know.
90s anime. Is that um Tempest, the dragon that
Oh,
Rimuru?
Veldora
Yeah.
from that slime. Yeah,
Yeah.
not the same.
I like the voice.
Yeah, same.
Whoa. That looks cool. It's giving me like Final Fantasy
I was
vibes.
gonna say like it's very Final Fantasy 15 inspired.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing. Oh, I
I know
like that.
that
Oh,
part is cool.
that is dope. And it
Yeah,
goes into a Silver Surfer. That looked like Genu.
I know.
If it's not Souls like, I will try it.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think this is gonna be more Final Fantasy boss fight esque.
Yeah, it's giving me like some solo leveling vibes. Okay, that tickled a little bit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and it's coming out May 30th. The unfortunate play, because spoiling one of the quick hits, Elden Ring Night Rain got a release date of May 30th as well. So this coming out the same day as Night
Mm.
Rain is not great, but again, the combat is what like all the different abilities, the cool kaiju fights. It looks like like it definitely struck a chord with me.
Yeah, I don't think the people that are like going to be like super into Night Rain are going to be like necessarily the same target audience. Yes, there will be
Correct.
some crossover on the Venn diagram, if you will. But I
Right.
think these are the people that are like, oh, I really want that Final Fantasy scratch, that sort of deal, because they're waiting on part three of the of seven and everything. And
Right.
it's like, all right, I've played Final Fantasy 16. Played Remake and Rebirth, and it's like I just need something. And this one looks pretty dope. Like
Yeah.
the traversal gives me kind of like cooler Forspoken vibes,
True.
which I do feel like Forspoken had a really cool looking traversal system. But I'm wondering how this, levels up as
That
you
part
go
right
through.
here, man. Like
Yeah.
that just
Like it going like in the circle and all of that. Like, oh, that's gonna be cool. I wish the dragon was like evil though. Like the whole time he's like, "Oh, I'm going to help you," and it's like, I need,
well, it
I
looks
need
like he
my.
keeps fighting the dragon though.
I think it's like other dragons out
Oh,
there, but the dragon is like fighting with him. But
okay.
I like a companion that tries to kill you. You know what I mean?
Sure. We'll go with that.
Well, it's like it puts a little bit more like it's like I'll help you right now, but when your back's turned, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
that's
true.
that's more interesting, and they have like more diversion. It's kind of like, oh, I'm gonna help you right away. And it's like, but Derek, does this like a I gotta get it?
It kind of does. Now, will I get it on release date? I'm not sure. It depends on what else is out along
Mm-hmm.
that period of time. But I do like the fact that this game is out there. It exists. Apparently, it's been in gestation for a while. Because I know when I was
Mm.
watching this on Kind of Funny, Imran Khan said he previewed this back in 2017. Apparently,
Whoa.
this game has been in development for a while. So I'm glad to see it finally come to fruition. So yeah, I think I think it will do it'll do me a disservice to not check this game out at some point.
Yeah, yeah. I'm down to clown. I'm excited to see what it actually does. Michael says, just thinking Final Fantasy vibes too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then we have
definitely.
Noctis's twin brother Nocturne in the trailer as well.
Murdoch, welcome to the stream. Love you, bro. Glad you're here, at least lurking with us. But yeah, dude, I'm excited for it. It looks cool. And we're gonna see where it goes from here. But the next one, I think the little bit that I've seen kind of made me happy, kind of made me excited.
Yeah.
Tides of Annihilation gets a reveal trailer, and this is a single player action game. They were saying single player games are dying, but here we are. Here
Still
we
looks
are.
alive and well to me.
Yeah. So let's check out Tides of Annihilation.
I like how they play London Bridge is falling in the background
Mm.
too.
Oh, that's cool. Ooh, we got us a baddie. I'm kind of getting some Souls like though.
Yeah, I'll say when I watch this, like when you see some of the gameplay here in a minute, it'll definitely feel more Souls like. Oh boy,
Dude, that looks so dope.
it does.
Yeah, that definitely feels
Yeah,
Souls like right there.
or if nothing else, Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah. It also kind of gives me like Near Automata.
Yes, I agree with that one too.
That's a little bit faster than what I was thinking.
Yeah, but wait for like stuff like this.
Cause
Yeah.
this is like the Knights of the Round Table.
Oh yeah. But yeah, these boss fights feel very Souls-esque to me.
Yeah, to a degree, I can see that. All right. The Round Table.
Mm,
And that's Excalibur that she was walking towards.
yeah.
We're getting extended gameplay tomorrow, or I guess today.
Today, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, look at this. That's
Yeah,
supposed
that
to be
has to be.
Excalibur,
Yeah, yeah.
and
And you
that
see
I guess
you
that's
see the
supposed to
person
be
behind it?
the Lady of the Lake
Yeah,
from the Arthurian legends and everything.
right.
Hey, that's a baddie, yeah, dude. Like, if this is not Souls like, I'm here for it because like
True.
getting like an Arthurian legend game will be so dope. And hopefully like she'll have magic, all of that kind of deal.
Well, set in a
But it's
post-apocalyptic London is very on the nose as well for Knights of the Round Table.
yeah, and it's like because like you'll eventually, I'm assuming, fight Arthur, but
Oh yeah,
fighting all the different, Sir Gawain, Lancelot, all of them like would be super dope.
yeah.
Yeah, where's Merlin? I agree, Dan. Where is Merlin in all of this? Um because it does look super, like, it looks dope. It looks trippy and cool all at the same time. Maybe she's Merlin in this tale,
Mm,
you know? Maybe
maybe.
she's Merlin. But because she's got these, magic skills and all of that, it's kind of giving me like Devil May Cry with some of
Yeah, a little bit.
the
Yeah,
action and everything. Um, there's one in here that's like on a horse that kind of reminds me of Lancelot.
yeah.
But
I think
hey,
it's
you know, I'm
I
down
think
for
it's after
this.
this fight. Yeah, with
Yeah,
Gwendolyn.
yeah. Derek, does this do anything for you?
Again, like you, if this is not Souls like yeah, there he is right there.
Yeah.
If this is not Souls like, it definitely tickles my fancy in a different way. Um, like you said, because of all, like, again, like we don't really get these type of, like, yes, this is more of like a fantasy RPG. I know we get games like Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is selling really well, but we don't really get medieval games based on the Knights of the Round Table,
Yep.
so this was, and having this be a different take of that lore and that story is very intriguing, especially when you have Colossi, like you see in the end of the trailer here, and like you see throughout the trailer, that these giant creatures, she's just climbing and scaling and moving around. So I'll
Mm,
see if that's more of like, if those are boss fights or those are just creatures that are there to help you along your way. I don't know. Probably a little
yeah.
both. Um, but no, this game does strike a chord with me because, again, it is just different in terms of tone and story.
Yeah. And like it's maybe they're trying to make Camelot or Avalon, like this is like trying to create that, perfect place or whatever for these beings and all of that. Like, and like maybe that's some sort of water fairy, which is, part of like I'm over here just like throwing out like Arthur kind of stuff. Amy says I'm a sucker for anything Arthurian. Like I did see some of that, like in like a post that this is Arthurian and everything. Dan brings up a good point. She might be Morgan Le Fay, which is
Ah,
uh, the one that like opposes Arthur a lot of times and
ah,
ultimately brings his downfall.
that'd be
Um,
cool.
yeah, so I'm down for this one, Derek. I think this one's the one that kind of gets me excited the most. Lost Soul was pretty cool as well, but Tides of Annihilation, I'm I can feel it as long as it's not Souls like, because I can't take it. I
Well, we
can't
got
take
two
it.
more trailers that might tickle your fancy as well, Zach.
By the way, this attack right here reminds me of one of the Valkyries from God of War.
100%. I'm glad I wasn't the only one who felt that way.
Yeah, I was like, I know that move.
Uh,
Oh, talking about things that we know and remember. Metal Gear Solid Delta release date has officially been confirmed this time. So let's
yeah,
take a look at the trailer. See
they
what we
jumped the
got.
gun last week, but now this is official.
It is the same trailer too. So the eye.
I know, like, it looks like Albert Wesker's brother from Resident Evil.
Mm, That's where you're wrong. Boom.
Yep, August 28th, which again they unveiled it last week. And again, like here's the little Ape Escape tease they're crossing over with.
Which was in the original game
Right.
and everything. Um, dude, looks great. You know what I
It
mean?
does. I like how they got the discount Cody Rhodes in there too, as I think Ocelot. I think he's
Yeah,
playing the guy with the red
Ocelot. Yeah,
ascot. Yeah, like
yeah.
he like when I was like, who mocapped Cody Rhodes in this game? Come on, man! Like,
Well, let's be honest. I think Cody Rhodes is copying Ocelot because he
I
looked that
mean,
way in
I
the original
guess
game.
so, but no, this game does look great. Like I know since when we got the first initial unveil trailer, we were both blown away by how good it looked.
Yep.
And again, it has that weird Konami like this. Even though Kojima's no longer doing stuff like this, it has the weird boss battles that you have, like the guy
Yep.
with the Mad Eye
There we
Moody,
go.
as I call him, and then like the guy with just hanging from the beekeeper, the guy with the wires hanging down from a tree, like. So it has its
Flame
weird moments,
astronaut.
but right. So it has its weirdness, but that's what makes the series great. We have the great grand. It looks like the great uncle to Albert Wesker in the game as well. So
And it's like that is part of it. And then of course you have a Metal Gear, like you have that in there, but it's like that is the thing that makes Metal Gear what it is always been the boss fights from the very first Metal Gear Solid.
yeah,
So it's like getting that in, up res and all of that, I think is going to be super cool. And I'm glad that it's official now, that it is coming in August on the 28th of this year. So um, I I want to see how it plays. I know it's going to be very close because that's what a lot of the previews have said. Is like it looks and plays really well, but it feels limited to what an old game is. So
correct. Now, one question, and I forget what they said in the initial press release when they first unveiled this game. Do you think that, and if they haven't, I want to raise this question real quick.
okay.
Do you think, because this is a remake of a story we already know,
Mhm.
do you think they take the Final Fantasy VII remake route and change a little bit of the story, or like make addendums to what they like go back and not necessarily change, like do like an alternate universe to what Final Fantasy did for the 7
Mhm.
remake, but more like, hey, we could do this better now that we have the better tech, or like we have people that are willing to dive in and try and like add pieces to the story to make it unique and different and make it our own. Because again, this is Konami's first foray into the
Foray.
Metal Gear. Yeah, thank you. Into the Metal Gear genre. That's actually a Metal Gear story, not some stupid multiplayer post Kojima. So, do you think they
Yeah.
could do that? If anything, to just put their stamp on it and make it their own and differentiate themselves from Kojima.
Not on this one, no.
Okay,
Because it's one of the most beloved ones in the whole
true.
series. Because it's the first time where you like it was more freedom in this game
Yeah,
compared to the first
first
two.
two.
So I think this is going to be more by the numbers because I like Konami is trying to play it safe here and
Yeah,
cash in on this, and I think that's smart. It's people are going to be like, hey, I want this version, I don't want a different version, because like Final Fantasy 7, I'm sure there are people that know the director of the original version and all of that,
yeah,
but like everybody knows who Kojima is, and the falling out on that and everything. So I think this is important, and I would love to see 1 and 2 get remastered or remade, and then you could do some different things, maybe, since it is older games. Like the
yeah.
story beats, I don't think you change though, because I feel the story has been the strongest part of these games since the very
Fair.
beginning. You know, movement, that sort of deal, because the first one is more top down. It's not, you're not doing as much over the shoulder or anything. It's a lot of top down kind of stuff. So I think those two could be good to do that. And I think this is just a way for them to see, hey, can we, do remasters? They sell really well, and then can we make anything else in this universe and people actually receive it?
Yeah. So
we'll
see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Guys, we got one last trailer, and that is from my boys and girls from Housemark. Saros is Housemark's next game after Returnal, and we got us a pretty awesome trailer. So let's check it out. Death Stranding. It's going to be a baby.
On the beach.
Yeah. Is this going to be a loop game? The same as Returnal?
Yeah. Because
oh, okay, that answers the question.
Yeah, when he said it always starts here, I was like, yeah, that's a loop.
Is this a synchronized swimming team? Sauron?
Right. And then that's like the bullet hell that you got to dodge.
I do like the logo. It's very like 80s sci-fi.
Correct.
Logo. 30th anniversary. Let's go. Like, I think they really have found in 2026. So
yeah,
I think they found like the formula for their games.
Correct.
And I think that's smart. It's like Returnal pops so hard.
Correct. True. And I mean, it's what brought them to the dance. Like you see some of their indie games like Resogun, what was it, that zombie
Alien
one
Nation.
Yeah, Alien
Zombie
Nation. Or Dead Nation, I think it was. But regardless, they built on that, and this is their next evolution. This is them hitting adulthood, especially like with Returnal. Returnal was their step into adulthood. Sony was so pleased with the game that they bought them, and this is what they're doing now. They prove themselves, and now this is what they're just going to keep riding that formula. I'd like to see how it's going to stand out this time, because again, like the whole loop, and I don't know if you caught, that's Raul Coley, who is the main
that's
character.
who I thought it was, but I wasn't 1000% sure. I was like, looks like Raul, but I didn't want to be like, oh, that looks like Raul, and it not be him. But
it was confirmed to be Raul after the trailer. So
okay,
after the state of play ended, because this was their one last thing. And going off on a sidebar here, I think this is going to be how Sony does their unveiling. Like, of course, if they do a PlayStation showcase, where they do a bunch of first party unveiling, it'll be totally different. But I think this, because we've seen it the last three, this one included, the last three big conferences or like showcases or like showings, they've ended with a first party studio. Like the last state of play we got in September ended with a Ghost of Yote reveal. Game Awards ended with Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, which is Naughty Dog's next game at the Game Awards. And now you have this one ending this state of play with Housemark. And I was thinking when I saw the PlayStation Studios logo, I'm like, oh, who are we going to see? Is this going to be another look at Yote? Is this going to be Wolverine look? And then I was like, is this a totally different game? And at first I thought, when you see the look of it, when you pick up the weapon, like the suit, I'm like, is this going to be a Returnal sequel? And it's not, but you can see the DNA of Returnal in this game for sure. and just any of like their previous games as well. But I forgot that Housemark. I didn't forget Housemark was a thing, but I didn't realize that it's been, I think Returnal came out in 2022. So it's been 3 years,
It's
and
been a
it'll
while.
be, yeah, it's been 3 years since we've gotten anything from them, and it'll be 4 by the time this game comes out. And that's even crazier to think that, because we got Ghost of Yotei that got a 2025 release year, and then we got Saurus now is going to get a 2026 release year. So it'll be 4 years since they've done Returnal, but that's crazy to think that they're already ready with their next game.
Yeah.
And again, like the whole keeping the essence of Returnal and their like bullet hell, and like keeping the whole roguelite structure of Returnal
Mm-hmm.
too is going to be crazy. And I know the big appeal to Returnal, because the whole thing with roguelites is like, oh, just replay again, but some of the areas and the levels and are going to be different. Some of the enemies you fight might be different in this playthrough. But I know the story of Returnal, like, was to get back to this house or
Yep.
find more about the main character. And they played on the roguelike genre by finding bodies of the main character lying about as well. So
Mm-hmm.
they do it differently. And like you saw them build off of that with a different studio, but you saw them play around with that in Valhalla as well. It was a
Yep.
roguelite DLC, but it told a very compelling story as well with each run that you did. And I feel like if they can keep building upon that with Saurus, it'll be fantastic.
Did we also get that with like The Last of Us Part 2? Like later on was like some sort of. I'm
They
pretty.
probably did some kind of game mode. I think when they did the remastered or
Yeah.
version of
Yeah.
it,
That's
they
what I
probably did.
remember.
They probably did some kind of different mode with it. They might have. I don't remember.
Yeah. It's kind of that like that thing and everything. So yeah, I'm down for this. It looks interesting. I love Housemark. I think they're a great studio. They always crush it.
Didn't you
So
do an interview with one of their directors back in the day too?
I did I can't even remember his name right now. But yeah, it was right before it was after Alienation. It was right before their next game, Next Machina, that I did
Yes.
an interview with them back in the day.
So you have a
Um,
special connection with Housemark. You know what I
I
mean?
do.
So
I do, and they were really kind, and like we had hardly, we weren't big at all, and was able to get a, interview and everything for them. So I'm excited to see what this game is. And, with Returnal, like they supported that game for a long time. Like they kept putting out content. They did the two-player part of it, I think a year after release where you could play like co-op and everything.
yeah,
So like they know how to support a game and keep a game going. And clearly, PlayStation saw enough of, value there to actually buy them
correct.
and everything. And I think them going like I remember once they did like Next Machina and one other game, and they're like, all right, we're done with like the top down,
Arcade shooters.
arcade shooters and everything. And I was kind of devastated at that point because I really liked Alienation. I liked Next Machina. And it was just like, oh man, okay, well, what are they going to do? And then they come out swinging with Returnal, and that is awesome. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
So
Derek, do we have any others that you we don't have any other trailers? Did you want to mention any of the other stuff on there?
yeah, so some of the other things, of course, Borderlands 4, which got officially unveiled at Game Awards, or was it Summer Game Fest? Either way,
It was
we
Game
got it.
Awards.
It got announced last year, and there was another rumor earlier this week that a release date was very imminent, and we got it. It's September 23rd. Again, the fall is shaping out already in February. But
Yeah.
an interesting thing, we got a trailer for that, so you can check that out. But an interesting thing why I didn't add it as one of the things is we are getting a state of play focused Borderlands 4. They haven't really done a single game state of play focus in a while. I feel like I
Yeah.
can't remember the last one. I know they did one. They did one back in 2020 for each of Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. And I know they've done stuff in between there as well, like
They did
since then
one
as
for
well.
Horizon, Forbidden
Correct.
West.
They did that as well. But they haven't done one in a while. So this is a state of play focused Borderlands 4 that will be coming later this spring.
Which is interesting because it's a third party, and
Correct, not a first, but
Yeah.
and something tells me that I feel like, maybe no, I think they may have been part of the state of play. Feel like before they got bought, I feel like they also did like a Call of Duty focused state of play, but I could be wrong about that. Um,
I don't remember that.
but Onimusha got a new The Way of the Sword got a new trailer for that as well. Still touting 2026. It's funny because Capcom had a better showing of games at the state of play than they did their own Capcom showcase, but that's neither here nor there. Capcom does what Capcom does. Um,
Yeah.
we officially got unveiled the Days Gone remastered. It is a thing. It's coming April 25th. It will be PS5 Pro supported, and we'll have different modes like speedrun mode, horde assault, and permadeath mode as well. And anyone who bought it on PlayStation 4 can upgrade to $10 for the PlayStation 5 version. And like I said, it'll be coming April 25th. I feel like I think it came around, it was the 19th or the 26th of when it came out in 2019. So right around the time for its 6-year anniversary.
Yeah.
What else was intriguing? We got a new Sonic racing game called Cross Worlds. They're taking a new liberty with it. It is coming sometime this year. But it is taking new liberty, like they're doing the movie take where like the rings open up to new worlds. So they're kind of melding the movie universe with the games universe together a little bit. But it is a new Sonic racer game coming out. Another one for you, Zach, that you might strike your fancy. Liza P Overture, which is a prequel DLC expansion for Liza P to be set this summer.
Yeah, that's
So
exciting.
I thought this was going to be a sequel. Then they said Overture. The way that it was worded, I'm like, oh, maybe this is like a Miles Morales, like a smaller thing, and it ends up being a DLC expansion. But it being a prequel is even more intriguing because it's like, okay, what are you going to tell before the events of the game?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like who are going to be the enemies, that sort of deal, because it's like the robots, the automatons have went crazy and they're, killing everybody, and it's like you're the only one that can fight them because you're Pinocchio and blah 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 blah, and you have free will and everything, and it's like, how do you go about crafting a story? It's like you're not going to be Geppetto or anything like that. So I'm very interested to see, maybe they put you on an island that's different than the mainland where you were and all of that. So the story, I think, will be very interesting. And of course, the combat was, spot on and very interesting. And the enemies were always like grotesquely weird, but cool at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I'm down for that one.
Another developer we haven't heard from in a while, Supermassive Games, has come out of the shadows with their next Dark Pictures anthology. I think this is their season 2 of a series of games, because it's called Directive 8020. And is coming, and again, we're getting an October release date in February. It is coming October 2nd. It is crazy, but it was Directive 8020, and then it said a Dark Pictures anthology. So they're bringing that back. I know it's been some time. We got The Devil in Me was their last one, and they said that was the end of season 1 of that series for a while. And I know they've done some things in between, such as like, I think, The Quarry. I think they did another game which was based in the Dead by Daylight universe. But this coming back, and it's on a space station. I thought it was like an Alien type of game at first, which it kind of is, but it's more of like mutant alien strain type thing. So it looked intriguing. Hopefully it captures hopefully Supermassive gets back to their original roots, and not like when they were just pumping out the Dark Pictures like every 6 to 10 months and it being bad.
Yeah.
What else?
Split Fiction got a new trailer as well, which I'm pretty excited about. I think that's something that Amy and I are going to play probably off stream, but taking both fantasy and sci-fi, and like it being based off of like writers, like, one's a sci-fi writer, one's a fiction writer, and like they get put into each other's worlds and all of that. I think that's going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah. And that's pretty. They announced like at least 20 different things at the State of Play, but that's pretty much all the highlights. You can go check out. I did post a thing about everything announced at the State of Play this morning, so you can go check that out to see what all else got announced. But yeah, that is pretty much the highlights of the State of Play. And like I said, it's a pretty solid. Like, I'm watching it live since I was off yesterday. It was a pretty solid State of Play. I don't want to say it's great, because it did end strongly, but it had a lot more things that hit with me than didn't hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bo's got an interesting question. He asked, what was the worst game of this state of play in your opinions?
Oh, I feel like
Days Gone.
uh, you're just don't be that way. It's just getting
I kid.
remastered.
I kid. I kid.
um,
It's only because of the director that we normally don't
yeah,
talk about
I
it.
know. I honestly feel like Metal Eden. It's like an adrenaline rush sci-fi FPS. It's coming May 6th, but it just felt like another first-person shooter live action game. Like, and which is funny because we got was it split the next season or the next iteration, or was it Splitgate 2 or whatever the sequel was? I don't know if it's
Yeah,
Splitgate
Splitgate.
2.
Yeah, it's Splitgate
Yeah,
too.
because they talked about that as well. And when they brought this up, like it was later in the show, but I'm just like, are they showing Splitgate again? So it just looks like stuff. It just looks very generic and stuff that we've
Mm,
already seen before.
yeah, like for me, like I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch everything just because I didn't have time to check it out
Yeah,
live, and I kind of wanted to come in fresh. You know what I
right.
mean? Come in bright eyed, bushy tail. But yeah, I don't really have anything other than Game Days Gone.
The another one that I will say that didn't really knock my
Borderlands
socks
4 as
off.
well.
That didn't really knock my socks off was where was it?
Was it
Go back up.
Shinobi?
No, Shinobi actually didn't look bad. Actually, I was actually kind of. I mean, again, it's an indie game. Like, there's so many. Like, I know you always got to be careful with some indie games, but it actually looked impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, like sidebar. They're doing 2Ks and doing their invasive crap with WWE as they did with NBA. You know, NBA has the park. WWE finally has their own version of it called the
Yeah.
Island. So which I'm like, all right, that's microtransactions out the wazoo. So
Yeah.
I'm not interested. Um, Mind's Eye, which is by former GTA series dev Leslie Benzies. Mind's Eye again felt like a generic like action game to me. Like
Mm,
it's like how you kind of said of Hell Is Us. It looks like stuff that's meshed together that we've seen before just in one game. But this
yeah.
one, unlike Hell Is Us, in my opinion, this one does not look inspired. You know what I mean? It just
Mm.
looks like typical action game. It kind of reminds me of a less star-studded Rockay City, where it just feels like it's trying to be like too heavy on the action.
Ooh, boy, you throwing fighting words out there.
Yeah, you know
All right.
what
The
what?
Rock, like comparing anything to Rockade City is just like throwing
True.
mud in somebody's eye. But yeah, I'll take your word for it, Derek. I'll take your
Yeah,
word for it.
yeah.
Murdoch asks, "Can I finally play Days Gone now?"
Maybe.
Sure.
I mean, let's not count our chickens before they're hatched, right? With these new modes, they may not run well either.
Yeah, like the reason why we hate on Days Gone, for anyone that is not initiated or might have forgotten, it's because of the developer, like the lead developer
Yeah,
that
John Marvin,
was,
I think it was.
yeah, like he constantly like was like, oh, Days Gone, we should have
Yeah,
got
this
blah
was
blah
after
blah.
this. This was after their sequel, like their pitch for the next one got canceled, and like all their other stuff got canceled, like going back to Uncharted or whatever. Um, and they came out and they just basically like after they left the studio, they did this whole hate thing where it was just like, oh, we weren't allowed to make the game, or like we weren't allowed to like we made a game we really believe in, but Sony didn't and whatnot, and the gamers just didn't get what our vision was. I'm like, no, we get it. It was just a bad idea.
Yeah, it's like zombie games. I feel are a little too late at this point.
Oh
Like
yeah,
there needs to be like a revolutionary idea to like
they're
refresh
not
the
zombies, they're
genre.
freakers.
Oh, they're a bunch of freaks. I'm a remind me to tell you offline.
Okay,
Murdoch is like, is the protest banner still flying? Of course. Of course. We don't talk of that game. That's the last time we're going to mention that game. But yeah, like I think, we've got a great slew of games that we're going to be getting.
Yeah.
in the near
Again,
future.
and that's the surprising thing. We got a lot of games with release dates this year. Like that's
Yeah.
insane. Like we got like some spring, we got some like May games, an April game, a couple of March games, but then like the biggest surprise is we got release dates games that were releasing in August, September, and even October. I forgot about Directive 8020 got an October
Yeah.
release date. That again, if this was like April, May, June, it would kind of make sense because we're already halfway through the year at that point. But in halfway through February, pretty much the still beginning of 2025, we are getting an October game release date is insane to me because this is not how the norm is.
So we don't have a game for summer, correct? From
Not yet.
Sony.
Like the I'm sure there are some games that are slated for like June-ish, but nothing that we've got. I mean, again, in college football 26, you assume is going to be July, but nothing's concrete set in stone yet. Like we're getting games in fall before we're getting games in summer. Like the closest one, like I said, is Night Rain and Lost Soul Aside at the end of May.
You know what that tells me?
Ghost of Yote.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
I told you it was going to be summer, brother.
Should have bet, but you're too afraid. You're too afraid to do it. Just like you shouldn't be afraid to go over to patreon.com and support us by grabbing your very own NerdCave membership. It helps us continue to make awesome shows just like this one, Eat, Sleep, Anime, and so much more. So become part of the ship, part of the crew by going to patreon.com/nerdcave. Picking the tier that fits best for you. It helps us out. We are a 1.5 person business here. So come and be a part of that. It supports us in more ways than you know. And if you don't have any bucks to toss, that's totally fine as well. We do have a free tier over there that you can join and see some awesome stuff there. And hitting the like button and subscribe button, like that helps us a ton. Like you don't even know how much.
Yeah.
You don't even know how much. So, guys, it's time for the Patreon quick hits because it's brought to you by our wonderful patrons.
Starting off, Castlevania Lords of Shadow Dev teases fantasy action RPG called Project Iron. The ESA, who previously ran E3, announces a new event called Icon with 2 eyes, an event designed to connect visionaries, thought leaders, and innovators. VR dev N Dreams shuts down 2 internal studios while opening 1 new studio. You still lost a studio, so let's not act like you are doing anything spectacular. Smite publisher High Res Studios has reportedly cut dozens of devs across Smite 2's team. Bandai Namco staff numbers have reportedly gone down by more than 100 devs between April of last year and February of this year. Take-Two is once again adamant that GTA 6 will release this fall. Following that, we did get some sales numbers. GTA 5 has surpassed 210 million units sold, while Red Dead Redemption 2 has surpassed 70 million units sold. Take-Two's boss says GTA 6 is to cause meaningful uptick in console sales this year amidst falling hardware sales. The CEO of Take-Two says the use of AI could increase employment productivity and not reduce jobs. Sure, for now. Football Manager 25 has been canceled following multiple delays. Mike Laidlaw says he would have quit BioWare had EA mandated the live service elements in games like Dragon Age. Nintendo says it needs to consider the price range that consumers expect for Nintendo products when discussing the price for the Switch 2. Following that, the Switch 2 Joy-Con features confirmed in new patent. Square Enix says Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake has exceeded sales expectations. Yuji Horii confirms Dragon Quest 12 team is still working hard on the game. Rumor, new Back to the Future game is in the works. Hogwarts Legacy 2 is in development alongside a reported refreshed version of the original game. The Fortnite Disney universe has reportedly moved to a stable build. New God of War game is reportedly not heading to Egypt after all, but is set in Greece with a young Kratos. I want to hit that later on after I'm done, but put a pin in that for now. Civilization 7 data miners discover references to the atomic age, and Firaxis says we're excited for where this is going. Nintendo adding Wario Land 4 to Switch Online library. Resident Evil 5 has been rated for the Xbox Series X and S by the ESRB, so a PS5 port is very likely on the way too. Cold Iron Studios' new game is reportedly due out later this year. Relic Entertainment's future will focus on smaller games and reimagining its classic titles. Ready at Dawn's co-founder talks about what happened with the Order 1886 never getting a sequel. Battlefield dev team is cherry-picking the best elements from previous games for the new title. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. Assassin's Creed Shadows players who mainly stick as one character aren't missing out, says director. Marvel Rivals sets February 21st release date for The Thing and Human Torch. Following that, Rivals reverses plans to deliver mid-season rank reset following player backlash. Rumor, Astrobot PS5 bundle is coming to the US in March. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is reportedly coming to the PlayStation 5 pretty soon. Series star Walton Goggins says Fallout Season 2 blows the Season 1 out of the water. Arrowhead Games has loads of future plans for Helldivers 2 and will gradually reveal more about the Illuminati or Illuminate. I don't know what they call it, but it's Illuminate. But yeah. Alan Wake 2's sales have surpassed 2 million and finally recoups its dev and marketing costs. Remedy says Max Payne 1 and 2 remake making steady progress. Crytek to lay off an estimated 15% of workforce, while development of a new Crysis game was put on hold in Q3 of last year. Koei Tecmo CEO Yoichi Arakawa is stepping down more than 45 years after forming Koei in 1978. Like a moth. Well, no, I'm gonna say the dead rises from the ashes in this one. Bobby Kotick declares former EA boss John Riccitiello, quote, the worst CEO in video games. Let's insert the Bible verse that says speck in the eye versus the plank in yours here. Bobby Kotick slams Warcraft film, calls it one of the worst movies he's ever seen. Elden Ring Night Rain release date confirmed for May 30th. Following that, Night Rain won't have duos at launch, but adding a 2-player queue is being considered. A former exec reveals EA passed on buying Call of Duty, Guitar Hero, and even Blizzard. Ted Price, who we talked about a week or two ago, is finally leaving Insomniac in next month, says Insomniac did pitch a Resistance 4 game, but, quote, it didn't work out. Following that, Ted Price reveals Insomniac's most stressful period was when it moved on from working with Sony, and they're back together again, so it all worked out. Remedy confirms full production on Control 2 has started this month. Let's go. PS5 shipments have reached 75 million units following its best ever holiday period. Sony president Hiroki Totoki says more family games like Astrobot are on the way. Let's go. Sony reconfirms Death Stranding 2 On the Beach and Ghost of Yote for fiscal year 2025. The Last of Us.
That's slippery.
Right. But it's slippery, but it's also gives them wiggle room because fiscal year, I think, for Sony ends in like March. So if it gets delayed till beginning of 2026, it's still within their fiscal year. You know?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like Ghost will get pushed before Death Stranding.
Yeah, because they've already talked about it's in the crunch phase.
Yeah.
The Last of Us is looking like 4 seasons, says the executive vice president of HBO. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 nears 2 million copies sold. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater Xbox players will take on Bomberman in place of the Ape Escape on PlayStation. So that mini game where you find it will be Bomberman instead. The boss of GTA 6 and Borderlands 4 owner Take-Two says it will time its releases to respect the consumer's need to spend a lot of time playing these hit games before they go on to the next. Diablo 4's next expansion after Vessel of Hatred won't come until 2026. Blizzard reveals radical overhaul of Overwatch 2, including the return of loot boxes, perks, and third-person mode. And finally, Nintendo Switch 2 patent suggests Joy-Cons can be rotated and the console played upside down.
Interesting.
Right.
Like Overwatch 2, it's too late.
Right. You're about to say it's dead in the water.
You know, there's a song, Derek, I don't know if you know. It's too late to apologize.
Right.
It's too late. Like it's dead in the water. And my God, I feel like HBO is going to milk The Last of Us. It's like, season 2 episodes. Yep.
Well, the supposed rumor is how the story of Last of Us Part 2 is told is going to be split into 2 seasons. Like one perspective is going to be this season, this upcoming season, and then the other perspective is going to be season 3.
Gotcha. I need to go back. I
That's
need
the
to go back
rumor.
and
We don't know.
finish it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if that's to be true, but that's the major scuttlebutt around the game, or around the TV show right now, is the 2 perspectives will be split. And you got to imagine, if it's going to be 4 seasons, it's going to be Last of Us Part 3.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
CEO of Take-Two says use of AI could increase employment productivity and not reduce jobs. If you know how to use AI, it can help productivity, but AI is great, but when it starts replacing people, actual
correct.
living, breathing humans, that is the problem. There is a SAG-AFTRA video game strike right now that's going on with all the voice actors, mocap, and all of that.
Right.
And they're in talks. I'm bringing this up as goes right back to the AI thing. They're wanting, going forward, they're not going to be able to use like clone people's voices and everything, but the gaming companies are trying to say, well, anything before this new contract, we can go back and scrape and make clones and do all of this and not have to pay
Yeah.
for anything.
Yeah.
So AI again can be good, but I did see this study earlier in the week that people that solely rely on AI to do everything, their critical thinking skills have gone down by 37%
Oh, wow.
since they've been using AI. So it's like AI is a starting point. It is a point to either polish something up if you're bad at grammar, which that's me. Thank you very much. But it is not the end all be all. You have to know how to make up these ideas and do these things. But again, a lot of people that are in these, decision making places, they're money grubbers. Let's just be
Right.
honest.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They're money grubbers. Dan says AI is a tool, nothing more, nothing less. It matters how you use it. Yeah, it's like a hammer. It is like a hammer. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It is a hammer. Dan also says what they are going to do is release the first 2 episodes and call it part 1, then wait several months for part 2. Talking about Last of Us,
which I know is tongue in cheek, but I'm praying they don't do that. Which I do know the episode count for season 2 is going to be somewhat shorter than, like, it's not going to be massively shorter than season 1, but it will be a couple episodes shorter than season 1.
So we'll see. Derek, I want to hit the God of War news that you brought up as well.
So, we talked about, rumor was last week that it was going to be set in Egypt, which sounded really cool. And now they're doing this. Now the scuttlebutt is it's going to be a prequel before the first game. Here's my thing. If you're going to do this, go back to Greece, make it its own thing. And I had this idea churning in my head this morning, right? So we know, like, we both love God of War, like Ascension aside, like even the PSP ports that they did, Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta were good, especially Ghost of Sparta. But we both know that outside of 3, the story wasn't what brought you there. It was really the combat. Like, yes, the story had its moments, mainly in God of War 3. But Kratos, we know, was a one-note character, all about anger, all about, Calliope, that screaming, right? Ares, Zeus, just screaming words, one-word things.
He was pretty much Soldier Boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you. Jeez. Zeus. But no, and then when we got the Norse duology, it was a complete overhaul of what we know God of War to be. Like, the story was intriguing. Kratos had depth as a character. The characters around him had very intriguing, stories to tell as well, and were integral to a lot of what happened in that Norse storytelling. I don't want them to take a step back. So my idea is, because Ascension was kind of like a prequel, but it also kind of took place in between, like, I think game 1 and game 2 or something like that. If you're going to do a prequel, still have that storytelling, but here's my pitch. My pitch is, do it before he made his pact with Ares, because that whole lead up to it, he fought in this great battle and he was about to lose, and then that's when he called Ares. It's like, I'll be your servant. Just give me the power to slay my enemies. Tell a story that, of him as like a father, like when he's with Calliope and his wife, building up like him showing being a great Spartan general, and then have that great fight and end with him making his pact, and then end me being diabolical.
That's literally what I was going to suggest.
And
Keep going.
and with
Keep cooking.
End it with him killing his family and then gaining the ashes and becoming the ghost of Sparta.
I'm down for that. I feel like that is a great way to tell the story. Like you could even tell like him like start the game, him as a kid, him getting trained to be a Spartan warrior.
Yes.
Like take some of the stories that we got at the very end of like when you're coming down from the giant mountain and he's talking about Atreus, like that sort of deal. And then you could take some things from like the DLC that we got and all of that.
Yes.
Like just flesh those things out. I think it would be really cool to see those things in action in this game. And then, go from there, him rising up the ranks, him, all of that. I think that would be dope. And then, of course, do what you said. I was like, if Derek doesn't go that far, we got to bring it to its conclusion. We gotta get to that point. And I think that would be.
we got it was explained in 1 and 2, and like it was explained throughout the whole series. Like he did slay his family, like in the original trilogy. Like it showed him doing it.
Yeah.
But I want to get that emotional impact of like going through whatever hallucination Ares did with him to make him lure him back to his own city and murder his wife and child. Like I want to feel that emotional impact. So again,
I'm the dark one on the show. Just saying, I'm the dark one on the show.
Listen, man. Every dog has their day. I can get a little dark too. If there's never mind, I'm not going to. I almost went on a tangent. I'm not going to go there. I'll say that for after the show. But no, when I saw this, my initial reaction was like, but we got so much progression in the North. I don't want to step back, but if they integrate the storytelling that they've done from the Norse duology and take it back again, we acknowledge we love the original trilogy, but it had its flaws. And if you do a prequel to before he even became the Ghost of Sparta and the God of War, I am fine with that because you can do better storytelling in that game than trying to rehash story beats that you've already created in the trilogy.
Yeah, and like you could even. It's like he's like younger kid coming up and all of this, but it's like you develop his character and then you set up, because it is a heart-wrenching moment, but it kind of breaks him, so you set up that moment, that payoff, because it's coming and everything. It's like he just goes into this whole, like he's just more animalistic after that.
Correct.
When he makes that pack and everything, like that dude is dead. You know what I mean? Like that loving husband, the person that cared about his troops, all of this. And as soon as he makes that pact because he doesn't want to lose and die, that's when like Kratos, as we know him beforehand, is dead and the monster has been created.
Right.
I think that would be dope, Derek. I think that would be dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Corey Barlog, hit us up.
yeah. We'll give you our bank account. But I do hope we do get Egypt, and I hope we do get like different places. Like, dude, how cool would it be Kratos going to like Japan and fighting yokai?
Oh my God. I mean, and again, in the 2018 game, when they get to the room in the World Tree, they show all the mythologies that Tyr has been to, that because they were teasing what they could do down the road after the Norse story has been told. So do it, because I know the Chinese or I think the Chinese or Japanese was teased. Egypt was teased. I know the Hindu religion was teased. So you have options.
Yeah. And I think that would be super cool to see. It can only go up from here, and I know the bar is just going to keep getting raised over and over and again. But there you go, everybody. That is the show this week. We hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more awesome content just like this one, because we'll be back live next week discussing more video game news that you need to know. And we'll be playing some Pokemon and hanging out on Tuesday, guys. It's going to be a great time. This has been Zach
and Derek.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye bye.